We are back. It is week 2. I'm actually here. You're welcome. But without that, we have a bunch of injuries and have to ask, how did week 1 go, Mike? I totally missed out on you guys.
Yeah, it went well. It's this one's going to be much more interesting just because of all the injuries. So, but yeah, it went well. Glad to have you back. So let's get this going and see if we can find the waiver wire gems.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. QBs, Jordan Love, Russell Wilson. Big news in QB land. Bryce Young benched for Andy Dalton.
Amazing. I can't believe that.
It only took 2 weeks of this year.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Terrifying. Running back injuries, Walker, Raheem Mostert, and found out today, Isaiah Pacheco, looking like he's going to be on the IR. Man, that's rough. Don't love it. Here's the question for you based on that. In the Kansas City room, is there any running back you're looking at?
Currently, no. I mean,
and that's the worry.
Yeah, I guess Samaje Perine's slightly intriguing in PPR, just because I think they are going to use kind of a committee, and I think that pass catching back, like he has a chance to be like Jerick McKinnon from a couple of years ago. That stretch he went on, but maybe not as explosive. But I mean, they're talking about bringing potentially Kareem Hunt in. You know, Fournette's out there. There's some guys out there that, okay, maybe, but it's going to be a committee either way. I'm not sold on Carson Steele. I have him on. We have him on this list, like kind of a spoiler there, but it's like it's more of a you kind of have to, put the really the only Chiefs running back, him and Perine, right, on the roster.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
well,
not
excited.
excited.
He's on IR technically. So,
yep.
But yeah, man.
It's not IR, right? It's like the exempt list or whatever it is.
Yeah. And NFI, right? I guess.
Yeah, like non-football injury. Yep.
Yeah.
NFI.
But I think he does have to miss 2 more games, right? It is kind of like IR in that sense.
Yeah. So still has 2 weeks. So even if he was back, you can use him at least for the time being. But he would probably be the one I'd be the most interested in following that up. But again, committee, not absolutely terrifying. But moving to wide receiver injuries, the big news today, Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel. Both potentially going to be IR candidates.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I hate this world.
Yeah. I don't think I even realized Deebo got hurt. I guess during the game. I didn't really watch it too closely, but this is tough. It's just is this not preseason stuff? Is it like not playing it? The Rams are notorious for like don't play your starters in the preseason, don't want them getting hurt. And ironically, all their guys are hurt, not just Puka and Cooper Kupp, but their offensive line's just devastated. And it's
Stafford's going to be under fire.
Yeah. He was to Arizona and they're a terrible pass rushing team. So yeah, it's not exciting. Nothing's exciting about a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely not ideal. And of course, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Nacua was out last week. So you kind of Jordan Addison potentially going to be back this week. We'll see. T. Higgins potentially going to be back this week. We'll see. And of course, DJ Shark's on IR. So then tight ends, David Njoku, still something to watch. Jake Ferguson said he might have been able to play last week, but they didn't want to risk it. And then the big news, I think, is Taysom Hill. Had to go to the hospital, had X-ray, and is coming in, believe for an MRI today. No results on that yet, but that in mind, we'll get to the most important part for you guys. Quarterback. All right. I love to stream. Mike, we took quarterback late. Luckily, I'm kind of rolling with Daniels, as horrible as that is, but love the rushing floor, and he continues to put up just enough points for him to be valuable to me. But the ones who are more widely available includes Steve's favorite player, Baker Mayfield. He's still too available. 48.9% rostered. That's it. Yeah. That means over 50%. He's available. Like in half your leagues, he's available. And he plays against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Currently QB1 on the week. QB1 this year, not on the week. I guess that's actually, I think Murray was the high one this week. But in any case, way too available. And then the QB2 on the year is my other option, Derek Carr. 9% rostered.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What world are we in?
I have no idea.
He gets to play the Eagles this week, so it's going to be the first time that he's going to have to throw. In his first two matchups, has yet to have to throw more than 23 times. And did I mention he was QB2 in the first 2 weeks? Like, how is this a thing? Is the Saints offense that good?
So it's like historically good in the first 2 weeks. It's
mind blowing. The last time they did this, they went to the Super Bowl.
We talked about it on the 32 and 32 for the Saints. Surprisingly, they were like 8th or 9th in points per game last year in both offense and defense. It was just like you never expected it. So maybe it's just all kind of coming together. Who knows? But yeah, I like those
better
options.
Coordinator.
Yeah.
All right. So those are my two. Who do you have a quarterback? Do you have somebody you prefer the most of?
Yeah, I think I have three here. Out of the three, I think I like Geno the most in terms of just, in terms of the entire season. I think that offense is a lot better. We're kind of seeing it come together now with those, over 300 yards passing, only one touchdown, but I expect that to change when you throw it 44 times and you complete 33 attempts. He can run at times. Week one he ran for 30 yards, so he does have that kind of in his pocket every now and then. You have really good receivers. Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 3 on the team. JSN, Metcalf, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, like a lot of good talent there. So I think I'd go with him in terms if you're looking for someone kind of for multiple weeks. Justin Fields.
He plays the Dolphins. So good opportunity, bad defense, has a lot of opportunity. Sorry, had to make sure you got that in there because that's an important part of streaming him this week.
Yeah, for sure. He has back-to-back 18-point weeks. Justin Fields is always going to be interesting with the rushing floor. He didn't do it too much this last week. He still ran the ball 8 times. Just didn't think he only had like 25 yards. But we saw it in week 1 where he kind of did what he's been doing in his career. And I think that's always going to be, part of their game plan. And I think they're going to roll with Justin Fields as well. So, so those two for sure. Deeper leagues, Sam Darnold, he's looking like he can at least – I want Justin Jefferson there for sure, right? But he can manage this offense. If he just throws 220 and 2 for most games, I'm happy. He can give you a rushing floor as well. Just put up over 20 points against the Niners. I think he ran for like 30 yards. Those 3 guys, definitely the first 2. Sam Darnold, a little bit deeper leagues, or just keep an eye on him. He plays the Texans and next week, and that's not the greatest matchup. But you mentioned the QB injuries, and also guys like Stafford. We don't want to start Stafford anymore. Like you want to avoid him. Goff hasn't looked that great his first 2 weeks. So it's not just injuries as well. Like sometimes you gotta move on from that quarterback that's underperforming rather than just keep trying to start him. So there's some options.
Yeah, and we already touched on Bryce Young getting passed over. Well, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, 22-19 in Carolina since leaving the Panthers, 46-14.
Yeah.
Like they're on just incredible runs right now. Both are really putting up solid numbers. And is that just a sign that it's an issue in Carolina, or is it system, or who knows?
Yeah, I'm really curious. Like, is it the owner? The owner is very controlling there. And is he coming in looking at the lack of ticket sales? And like, I don't know why you would put an Andy Dalton to sell tickets in 2024, but
trying to put up wins.
Yeah, it could be. Like, I just can't imagine they're moving on after 2 weeks. Like the new coach. I don't know. That's just strange. It's really strange to me.
Coach said it was his call after watching game film. So
I don't know.
We'll see if it's better. How about that?
Yeah.
Now a move like that, as has been talked about all day, you cannot make that move without getting the okay from the GM and the president of the football operations. So
Yeah.
all the higher ups knew he was going to do it, but it was his call. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, it's just, man, that's scary.
I mean, Frank Reich lasted what, like 8 weeks last year?
Yeah.
So Carolina, get that turnover.
Mess.
Which
Not the
also isn't
turnovers
helping
they
Bryce.
need, really, right?
So, in any case, we'll get out of quarterback. And, oh, lovely. M. Gonzalez is back, baby. Welcome back.
Yeah,
I
he's
have love
here.
in my IR spot and have been rolling with Jay Daniels. Should I drop Jay Daniels for Gino or Carr? Oh, my gosh. That is the
And
question.
it's like
6 points per
upside.
touchdown.
Yeah, 6 point per touchdown. It's like the upside versus, well,
Floor.
right now Carr has the upside too, I guess. But
Yeah, I know. It's like
assuming-
it's all coming out Carr right now.
yeah, if you can get one of those and keep Daniels as well, that's the way I would go, because you're still getting 16 carries week 1, 10 carries week 2 for Daniels. Like that just gives him a very safe floor. All he needs to do is throw a touchdown. Like he threw for 226. He rushed for 44 yards. He gets one touchdown, you're happy, and it's gonna come.
Whether it's passing or himself.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
I still lean. If I can get one of those guys without dropping Daniels, that's ideal to me.
Yeah, I'd much rather drop. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to drop Love at this point, depending on. I know he's on potential. Well, I'm surprised he can have him in his IR because he's technically not on IR.
Maybe out. Some leagues you can put them on there when they're out. So
yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking up Carr as well. More curious to see that this week is going to be really telling on if Carr is a real thing or the Saints are real going up against the Eagles, unless just something catastrophic happens tonight. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go Carr, preferably not dropping Daniels, but if that's your only drop, then I guess you kind of have to. All right. So we're moving on. Running backs, where I guess this year we are establishing the run. Like it seems to be a running league now. Passing is way down. It's very interesting. So I'm starting off with the guy that I think you brought up, Jerick McKinnon, earlier. This is the guy that I think is this year's Jerick McKinnon. And Justice Hill, 10.1% rostered currently. Love his usage. It's where you want it. The only issue is that he's not getting the goal line touches, which, of course, you have Derrick Henry. Why would you give it to Justice Hill? So I understand that, but I had made a note last week about him being Jerick McKinnon. The high-value touches are going to be there for Hill. He's on third down. He's 2-minute drill. So neutral, chasing points, like it really feels like Hill's the one that's going to be here. I mean, currently running back 33, so he's in that range of a flex potentially. It's just really hit or miss. And then the other one is going to be for much deeper leagues. It's Dante Foreman, 1.9% rostered after not playing week 1 for the Browns. He started week 2, played well, and this week was the only running back for the Browns to see goal line work. So if that's going to be the case, that high value in Foreman is the one you want. With that in mind, who do you like? I mean, we kind of touched on some of them earlier, but might as well bring it up again.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great names. Like if you need a start next week, I guess Foreman or Hill would be, the two best ones, or maybe one of these Kansas City guys, Carson Steele, we already talked about him. Maybe you jump out ahead and you grab one of these free agent running backs and hope they get signed. You can always do that too. I guess Kareem Hunt is the one we'll see potentially to grab, but there's a couple more out there. With the Mixon injury, we don't really know any details yet, but Cam Akers or Dameon Pierce, I don't know if you lean a certain way. Yesterday it was Cam Akers, but he was also inactive.
And had a
Dameon Pierce
goal line.
Yeah, and Pierce was beat up and he was injured this week. And so week 1, I think it was Cam Akers inactive. So I don't really know who's the RB2 here. It might not be either one of them, really. But
I'm actually thinking it might be Dario Gumbawale. Based on how the usage came in late, I was like, man, pass catching, Akers fumbles. Not what you want. But maybe it's David Pierce. I mean, after that fumble, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the active one and Akers is an inactive, but it definitely keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I always like to throw out some handcuffs. Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen seem to, be the handcuff behind Brees. I know. So
Brees Hall owners or managers
annoying.
Everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That touchdown that went to Braylon was frustrating.
Both of them. But
I do just want to say real quick about the Texans. Damian Pierce missed that game with a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
He wasn't a healthy scratch. Agumbawale is typically their healthy scratch if everybody is good to go. But if Mixon misses, it'll still be the three. It'll be Pierce, Akers, and Agumbawale.
Terrifying.
Yeah. There's not much. Hopefully they just throw it more and get Tank Dell involved.
It should be.
Yeah.
One wide open one would have really helped me this week.
And then Ray Davis as well. He looked good on all the way back on Thursday night. I think if something happens to Cook, I think you'll get a pretty good workload. So that's about it for running backs.
Yeah, and again, having a handcuff, that it's clear. Definitely got to have them on your team if you have one of those big starters. But out of running back into wide receivers, which all seem to be down. So I'm taking big swings at this point. Why not? The first guy is a guy that I've loved for a couple years now. Alec Pierce, 14.2% rostered. Talk about boom bust, baby. Big play. Richardson is really hit or miss right now. I feel like Pittman is struggling because he's had a couple tough matchups. But red zone, it seems like Pierce is a big body. It is literally right now mirroring Rashid Shaheed. Like, I feel like they're on the same trajectory. And if that is who you're looking at, current wide receiver 8. Like, dude is scoring touchdowns and at roughly, I think it was 15 fantasy points per game.
Former second-round pick, by the way. Like, he's not like some slouch off the couch.
Well, former quarterback second-round pick turned wide receiver and is doing excellent with it. So, and talked about injuries. One I've kind of left out because Justin Jefferson said he's going to be fine. He said he's dead today, but looks like good. He's going to be good. Jalen Naylor, widely available, 0.6% rostered. Really liked how he's being used. Continues to run a ton of snaps. And so one of the things that I like to constantly say is your best ability is your availability. So Jalen Naylor is going to be out on that team. We talked about Sam Darnold and his passing ability. Might be Naylor if either Addison or Jefferson remain limited. So those are my picks. You have some differences, so let's see what it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you want one of the Rams guys, Demarcus Robinson is probably the number one choice, but Tyler Johnson, even Jordan Whittington, the rookie, any one of those three could be the one that like really gives you value, if anyone. I'm still very skeptical if they can protect Stafford. So, but I mean, when they say Cooper Kupp's going to miss a lot of time and Puka's going to miss a lot of time. So, someone has to catch the ball. But
I agree, though. I think it's going to be Marcus Robinson of those three.
Probably. It could be a couple of them, by the way. Like if they can start protecting Stafford, like it could be multiple guys on that,
Big if.
Yeah, for sure. Romeo Doubs, like 30%. If this is more of a long-term, I don't really want to start him with Malik Willis because they only threw the ball like 14 times yesterday. But, this is more when Jordan Love comes back. Dobbs had a pretty good week 1 with Love, and he's the one receiver. He's like the one constant out there in terms of like he's playing like 80% of the snaps. All the other guys are rotating a lot. So
it seems like it's. That's why I was high on Dobbs. I'm like, dude, looks like he's running all of the snaps. It's if they actually end up getting a connection with either Willis or Love, like it's impressive that he is so out there not being targeted. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's some, sneaky long-term value there. And then what are we thinking of Quentin Johnston? It's a Chargers show at heart. So no, but Quentin Johnston, 2 touchdowns. Like, is he going to break out? What's going to happen?
2 touchdowns on what? 6 targets?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, wasn't great.
Yeah, I mean, he is he is Mike Williams. That's the role. Finally, it looks like he's healthy and is taking over that role. But for how long can you actually trust it? I mean, the fact that he caught a majority of his passes, that's impressive to me. Don't know if it's because of protection or what, but if it's just because he had to be leaned on. Palmer's dealing with injury. McConkey's still rookie, has some of that issues there, but it's interesting. I agree. I'm keeping an eye on it. Am I buying in after 1 week? I'm gonna pump the brakes just a little bit, but definitely, if you have a watch list, put him on your watch list because one more big week, he is not going to be there for you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I agree.
We'll move into another string position. Oh, just kidding. I got trade question from Brody Enemy. Right? Okay. That one's tough. Got offered Garrett Wilson, Josh Jacobs, Ladd McConkey from Malik Neighbors, Tony Pollard, James Conner.
Ooh.
First question. Redraft? I mean, that's where I'm kind of, if it's redraft, that's completely different from Dynasty because I'd probably end up going with what you already have, I'm guessing, in Wilson, Jacobs, and McConkey.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, which side is he getting? I always get confused with which side the person's getting when it's written this way. Maybe that's just on me. Redraft, he said. Okay, so, man, this is – so, like, Wilson versus Neighbors is an interesting – Neighbors has had a better start to the season, right? But we expect more from Wilson. Like, Jacobs versus Pollard – like Pollard's been playing well.
All the touches. Jacobs has all the touches, though.
And
I know the
exactly
great, but
so, but they're both playing well. You know, like Pollard has 8 catches already, and you know he's had over like 20 touches each of the last 2 weeks. So he's getting the Garrett Wilson side. But then the big thing is like the James Conner versus McConkey is like the big win. So does that outweigh maybe a slight downgrade from like? Oh no, he's getting Wilson, Jacobs. I don't mind it. Like I really don't mind it.
It's really even. I mean, that's tough. I'd much rather have Connor. It's like the Connor thing is better than the McConkey. Neighbors and Wilson, I'm going to call right now a scratch. But Wilson just hasn't gotten what he's used to. And then Jacobs is the winner here on that side because he's getting all the work. Issue is, can he withstand it? Which, I mean, he has in the past, but the 30, I think it's 32 carries this past week is insane.
But
Rush Henry.
Him versus Pollard is not like a huge gap in my opinion. So it's basically got to ask yourself: are you okay with the fall off from Connor to McConkey? Because we don't necessarily think. I think there's slight wins, both Wilson and Jacobs. Maybe you can argue Wilson, but is that big enough for the fall off for Connor to McConkey to use? So I don't hate it. I kind of like both sides. And you know, if you feel passionate about one side, I would definitely stick with it or make the trade. So
yeah, I mean it's real even. So if you are really sold on one person or the other, I mean, go for it. But I personally am liking the Connor side just a little more because PR aspect for that and the running back is pretty nice.
Yeah.
So
can't disagree there.
All right, back to it. Streaming tight ends. Hey, we talked about Chargers, right? So former Charger Hunter Henry, now of the Patriots, is the clear tight end 1 for that team. Not only is a clear tight end 1, he is out snapping and out running routes more than any other wide receiver on the team. Saw it last week. I was like, oh, I'm going to keep an eye on this. And then this week, it's just like, nope, here I am. Currently tight end 4 with a massive week 2 to really boost it. But it's insane to me that he's finally getting it.
Every year we talk about this guy. Jacoby Brissett threw 149 passing yards. 109 of them went to Hunter Henry. It's the second time he's been over 100 yards or, had 100 yards or more. So in his career. It's you just can't argue it.
Oh, and he's only rostered in 17.6% of leagues.
There you go.
mean, if you're the number one target on your team, you probably should be rostered.
Yeah.
I know the team sucks, but their defense looks good, and they're gonna have to throw. So after that, the other guy that I really am liking is Foster Moreau, 4% rostered, widely available. I was a little nervous after his week 1 concussion, but out of the tight ends, he's running the most routes. He's out for the most snaps. I mean, eventually when they're going to have to throw, I think Moreau is going to be the one who actually ends up soaking a lot of that up. And of course, has history with Carr. That's a big part of this, is that Carr knows he can lean back on him. I know that he's been with Hill and Johnson for a couple years now, but I'm really liking Moreau here as a streamer moving forward. So those are my streaming picks. You have somebody you prefer or like?
Yeah, I mean, goes back to the Rams situation, Colby Parkinson. I've been kind of, not excited about him. You can't really be too excited, but him being able to fill the Tyler Higbee role looked like that was going to happen week 1. Then he doesn't do much. I mean, the whole offense was a disaster yesterday. So I think he could be a pretty solid option for Stafford, kind of that safe option. So I'd definitely pick him up if I need a tight end. And Brenton Strange, I saw 0% rostered. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that with in terms of pick this guy up. He's 0% rostered. Obviously, there's people that aren't rostered, but you think someone out there would, hey, I'm a Jags fan, I'm going to take Brenton Strange. But
I know Ingram was a late scratch, so I kind of understand it. But even then, somebody should have picked him up to play him, and he had a good week. It actually ruined Kirk for me. I'm like, I hate this so much because I was like really hoping that Kirk would do something.
Yeah.
Frustrating. Yeah, but both good picks. Like you said, Parkinson is running a lot of routes, and man, with all the injuries, might as well throw to him. I don't understand why you're not. Dude's out there a lot. Might as well give him a shot. So, any case, it's fine. It's fine. They'll be fine. Rams will be fine. It's going to be ugly, but Stafford played with the Lions forever, so he should be used to it. Hopefully, he can pull it out again and get this team back to where it needs to be. All right, continue streaming into the defense. One I'm going with is pretty basic. Chicago Bears, 45.1% rostered. Currently, the second best defense on the year in fantasy. They are getting after the quarterback. This week they play the Colts, who just, I don't know. I have no idea what the Colts are doing, but they pull off big plays, and it's just rough. I thought that O-line was going to be better, but I don't know if it's Richardson being inexperienced or what. But definitely mobile, continues to extend the play, which is giving big plays to Pierce, of course. But they are getting after the quarterback. They're tackling at a high rate. They have over 60 in both their games. And that includes 5 sacks and 14 tackles for a loss, which are big numbers to include, especially when you know that Richardson has a slight issue with potentially fumbling since he is mobile and doesn't. I mean, he'll just take off. Again, I'm going to take another cheap shot. Las Vegas Raiders, 6.4% rostered, and they face the Panthers. That's the only reason to play them this week. But now I'm a little nervous. Now that Dalton's starting, we'll see. Dalton is known for interceptions, so if that's the case, could be interesting. Well, they were able to stick with the Ravens for a long time, which is mind-blowing to me. Granted, they aren't getting after the quarterback or causing tackles for a loss, but I'm very curious to see how they do against the Panthers this week.
Yeah. And what's good with both those teams is they have good defenses. Like, they're not just good opponent. They're both good defenses, in my opinion. So, I chose Buccaneers is one of mine. Another team. They are beat up, but they play the Broncos. Rookie quarterback and Knicks. So always like to target those. I think they could have a good game for sure. I've been saying this.
No idea who he's passing to.
Yeah, exactly. I've been saying that Seahawks are like my favorite team to target in drafts because of their first 2 weeks. It was, and it kind of worked out. And then I was like, okay, I'll drop them by week 3. They play Miami. Well, now it's like, well, can I play them against Miami? Possibly. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think, they can put the Dolphins can put together a pretty good game plan, still have Tyreek Hill and Waddle and these guys and Achane. So, but I might just hold on to them one more week and see how it goes with the Seahawks. So I do think is another solid defense.
Yeah. All right. We gave all the options, gave all the answers we could think of. Got one. Let's go trade. I get CMC and Hubbard, and they get Connor. Whoa.
Yeah.
What
was the latest on CMC? Like they're thinking past.
I think it
through
was
the bye week.
Yeah.
So week 9.
So week 9 is
I'm like 6 weeks is kind of what they're looking at right now.
Yeah, we're looking at week 9 now.
And are you going to start? Well, I guess you would start on week 9.
Week 8 is the bye. Week 9 is when he'd be back.
If your team's stacked, like absolutely
you
stacked,
have to have other options.
Yeah, and like you're 2-0, and you're like, man, my team, I just drafted so well, and Connor's on my bench, or whatever, I'm debating whether to start him. Then go for it. But
this came up in the Discord too, and my response to it is it's too early.
Yeah.
He's going to be out for so long that I want to wait until I'm 4-1, 4-2 after week 6, and the CMC manager is 2-4 and desperate to do something. That's when I want to make a move. Making that move right now in week 3 and you're the one suffering for 2 months doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And on that same kind of note, I think it's week 6, we're expecting Brooks to potentially start getting sprinkled in for the Panthers. And that just kind of muddies everything up anyway.
Right, for Hubbard, yeah.
Yeah. For the other running back that you're probably going to be using for that time period if Connor is your If maybe Dynasty, I'm probably taking this.
Yeah. If Hubbard was like, I mean, I guess he did have a much better game this week. Like if he was like, I felt a little bit better. Yeah.
Maybe he gets passing.
Yeah. Again, like if
You're
Connor's
really
like,
I'm trying to be positive here, man. It's
I understand. Like if Connor's like, no, he's my RB2 clear cut, I'm probably not doing it. But again, if I'm like, each week I'm thinking about, should I start Connor or this guy? Then I might go for it and take that risk. But you have to be really deep.
Yeah, and the best way we can actually do this is, Steve, when is roster resolutions going live? Is that available yet? Or
they're available. They're always available. They're live right now.
Okay, so if you go to our website, importantnonsense.com, we have a section called roster resolution. You get there, it's $5. We will go through your entire league, suggest teams, player changes, whatever we need to do to help you better set yourself up for the rest of the season. So like this, we're going off of very limited information. We give a lot more in depth at that point, and you'll have at least probably me and Neil, if not more of the other guys, willing to help out and really help with this.
Another thing is that manager of CMC is going to only continue probably to get more desperate and more desperate. So like you can secure yourself, like Steve said.
Trade should be easier to complete the later in the season we get.
Exactly. Not too late when CMC is getting close, but hey, I'm 4-1, like Steve said. All right, now I make the move for CMC and get him. So
yeah, it's like the bars closing. You're kind of seeing what's available. Things are looking a lot better.
Yeah.
And I see there's a couple other questions in here, but we do have to get out of here.
Right.
So again, just there in the video description, link to the Discord if you're not already in there.
No,
sign up, come join the Discord, ask your trade questions, start sits, waiver acquisitions, all that fun stuff. We're always in there answering stuff for people.
Yeah, we just need a lot more information than this guy for this guy. It makes it a lot more difficult for us to really answer that with any kind of thought. We can easily go, yeah, sure, that looks good in theory, but what's the rest of your team look like? What's the scoring format? Is it redraft or dynasty? Like these are other things that you need to take into account. At least we do when we try and help you guys out. And so,
Agreed.
Discord or roster resolution is going to be your best bet for sure. All right. Okay. Well, with that in mind, we have a Monday Night Football game to watch. Go enjoy the Falcons versus the Eagles, and we're going to get out of here with that in mind. Remember, as always, to keep up the nonsense.